After this weekend that has been absolutely horrific and simultaneously beautiful, I have so much to say and don't really feel like I can find the right words. Friday night, I was privileged enough to be invited to the Humphrey Mondale dinner. It's a DFL fundraising dinner. I got to hear our governor speak. I got to hear J.B. Pritzker speak. I got the chance to talk to lots of incredible people. Senator Tina Smith, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, Secretary of State Steve Simon, Congresswomen, senatorial candidates, the new chair of the DFL, labor leaders, activists, just so many amazing people there. And being there was an incredible way to just amp up for the protest that I'd be speaking at tomorrow, because it was a room full of people just energized and vibrant about rallying around and fighting for similar causes. And one of those people in that room with me contributing to that energy was Minnesota Speaker Melissa Hortman. The same Speaker Hortman whose horrific assassination is the news that we would all wake up to in just a few short hours. And like the rest of us, I felt this tragic loss in my soul as an American and a Minnesotan. I felt it in the same way that any decent human would when a tragedy like this strikes their community or their country. But that's not what was surprising to me. What was surprising to me is I felt it in my heart in a way that I didn't expect. Because while I've spent some time in the same spheres and even the same rooms as Melissa, I did not have the privilege of knowing her personally. But I am friends with people who consider the Hortmans and the Hoffmans friends and even family. I do know people who I was supposed to speak alongside of later that day whose names were just reported to be on a hit list by a deranged terrorist who had just murdered a member of their community, of their party, their friends, their family. I had friends and family and people I've never met before in my entire life from around the country and across oceans reaching out to me because they were worried about my safety, because they were grieving with us. And to be so present among the grief and the anxiety and the uncertainty and the pain, that hit in a way that I can't explain. And we didn't know what was going to happen. The authorities were telling us to cancel our protest because this deranged, radical, right-wing Christian terrorist was still on the loose. And most of the people on his list were going to be there. We didn't know if we went forward with the protest, if anyone would show up or not, because there was a deranged terrorist on the loose. But members of the community, leaders of our community, had just made the ultimate sacrifice simply for their beliefs that people should have the right to make their own decisions about their body, that they should be able to love who they want to love. And we were not about to let that sacrifice be in vain, so we decided to push forward with it anyway, and the authorities told us you got to cut it down to 2 speakers, you've got a half hour. And you know what? We kept it to a half hour. It was just followed by a 3-hour Minnesota goodbye. A 3-hour Minnesota goodbye where I had the privilege to stand up on the same stage as many other amazing artists and activists and our Attorney General Keith Ellison, and spoke to the 80,000 incredibly brave, patriotic Minnesotans who showed up in record numbers to say, nope, we will not be bullied. 80,000 Minnesotans that said, you know what, if he wants to show up, he will find out. He will find out that we will not tolerate hate and violence against our community. And that was one of the most powerful things I've ever had the privilege to be a part of. And as the day went on, we heard that tens of thousands of other Minnesotans across the state showed up to their canceled protests as well, and millions of people showed up around the country to say that we will not be bullied, we will not be intimidated. And these millions of brave Americans did this peacefully with love and solidarity, despite another terrorist causing a Utah protester to lose his life, and another one in Virginia trying to drive through a crowd of protesters, and police beating peaceful protesters and trampling them with horses. They stayed loud, they stayed strong, they stayed peaceful, and we did not let the bastards win. And after an amazing day of solidarity, bravery, and patriotism, Sunday night, that MAGA terrorist was taken into custody and he will face justice. And despite the tragedy, fear, grief, and heartbreak of this weekend has filled me with hope and truly demonstrated the resolve of the American people. And it has convinced me that we will do whatever we need to do to win this fight, because fuck fascists, America has no kings.